With your attention turned within, give your awareness to the reality of God. The timeless, eternal, infinite, omnipresent consciousness. With each breath, let go of attachment to your false sense of self, your personality. For the next hour, identify with this reality of God. Let's chant Om once together. Everybody has some lights today. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. It's good to see you again. Seems like it's been forever. Well, you've probably been here. I haven't. I was in Scotland and England. We were doing a Kriya seminar in Somerset, Birtle, near Bridgewater, which is, I think, 2 hours south-west of London, on a farm for Richard Fish, who's a CSA minister. And that was a really wonderful experience. He has a little meditation hall. It's probably a quarter of the size of the space that we're in. And so he rented a marquee, which in America we call a big tent. And he put it up in his field, and we had about 30 people show up. And so throughout the weekend we had 30 people in this space. And then for the initiation, the Kriya initiation, we crammed everyone into this room that was, like I said, a fourth of what we're in right now. And we were all really tight, and then when it was time to get initiated, we'd go up through and get to the point, and he'd put his hand on our head, and then another CSA minister would sprinkle rose petals over, so it's really neat. And Swami Nirvanananda was chanting on the harmonium the whole time. So it was a very uplifting experience, and kind of got me thinking about spiritual growth, and not thinking of it as a miracle, or not thinking of it as something that's out of our range or scope of experience. Okay. A lot of people who came to the seminar had been students of Richard's for a couple years, and Richard was explaining to them how this process works. And it's not just a meditation technique that we do. It's not just sitting to meditate for a couple hours a week, or maybe half hour or so every day. It's actually a process that you have to commit to. And And I remember before I left, Michael's talk that he gave on the 11 a.m. session, he was talking about you go to school for, 12 years, up until 12th grade or so. And then you go to college after that. And then you might go and get a master's degree. And all of this is just so that you can be a functional human being in society. So 12, 14, 16 years of education, just so that you can be a functional citizen, not get yourself in trouble, support yourself. And what we're doing is we are endeavoring to wake up, to move beyond this false sense of self, this personality, which gets us into a lot of trouble and causes us a lot of suffering. And a lot of people think that it's going to happen in 3 months or a year or 2 years. They say, I've been doing it so well for 2 years, why hasn't anything happened yet? And they don't realize that it's a gradual process. And so what I'd like to do is, first of all, encourage you to know that what we're doing, it can be and is a lifelong process. We are souls which last forever. We're always in existence. And so we have infinity. And that's a long time. And so what is 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years of meditation and spiritual growth process to know you're this infinite consciousness and to live freely for the rest of infinity, right? I mean, it makes sense. It's not that big of a trade-off, really. So anyway, the point being that spiritual growth, waking up, is not rocket science. There's a library out there, our meditation room, outside the meditation chapel, which has books that tell you exactly how it's done. There are teachers that you can go to that say, simply sit, meditate, give your awareness to your spiritual eye, do that every day for 30 minutes to a half hour every day, and you'll just naturally wake up over the years as time passes. When you're interacting with people, when you are doing your work, you hold in the back of your mind that you are talking to God, or that you are working for God, or that you are in God. That way your practice becomes intensive. And I remember when I first got interested in Kriya Yoga practice, I thought intensive meant I had to force myself to sit in a chair for 4 to 8 hours a day, trying to meditate and make myself realize God, trying to make it happen. That's what I thought intensity meant. To a degree, that kind of aspiration is useful, but intensity doesn't mean you wear yourself out, you burn yourself out. It means that everything that you do, every moment, you are making that your spiritual practice. When you fail at something, when you don't do very well, when you make a bad choice or make a bad mistake, rather than beating yourself up and falling into guilt or depression or a morose state, you can grieve for a moment. But if you can admit, okay, I've made this mistake, I've gotten the experience, now I can move forward from it, that also becomes part of the process. Now, what is it they say experience is? It's what you get. It's what you get after you need it, right? So experience is all part of the process too. And we are living in a human world through a human personality. And anything in this human world, in this human personality, it's not going to be perfect. Which means, as a human being, you are not going to be perfect. You can try all you want, but all you're going to do is set up a pattern of frustration, grief, doubt, despair, all these sorts of things. However, there is one thing that is perfect. And that is that infinite, pure consciousness, that God self within you. And you notice when we're doing meditation, I say, let go of attachment and identification with the personality in your history and give awareness to this infinite consciousness within you. When you can keep giving your awareness to that infinite consciousness within you, eventually you identify with that and not the human personality. And when you are so fully identified with that infinite consciousness, that God self within you, then you are free. Then you live your life in peace. Because what is the thing that causes us to not be in peace? Any ideas? Or what keeps you from being in peace?
For me, it's think I have to do or accomplish something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, trying to make something happen. And one of the main points in the Bhagavad Gita is to note that you are not the doer. That doesn't mean that you don't act on the inspiration that comes through you. It just means that you don't attach yourself to the fruits of that action or the results of that karma, and you free yourself from it. Okay. Now, when you're meditating, the best thing for you to do is decide that you are going to give your full awareness to the process of meditation. Which means you're sitting there quietly, you're turning within, and all of a sudden you start thinking about how you need to get the refrigerator fixed. And it's going to cost $400 for this little part. And you might as well get a new refrigerator because it's only $800. And so you start thinking about these things, and that is a distraction. It pulls you away. It seems so important, but if you let it pull you away, essentially what you're saying is the distractions are more important than the realization within. If you have relationship problems, any kind of problem that you've got in life, if you let that come into your meditation, you in a sense are saying that that is more important than this infinite divine consciousness within you. And so what happens is that it sustains itself within your life and your experience. So during your half hour to hour of meditation, if by your willpower and your intention you decide, no matter how strong the distractions are that come in, you are going to let them go and you're going to keep bringing your awareness back to God and this divine consciousness. Essentially what you are doing is affirming that God and the divine consciousness is the most important thing in your life. And then what happens is the more you do that, you find that things typically work out okay. If problems do arise, they usually resolve themselves quickly. All because consciousness, God, knows how to take care of itself. It just requires that your attention be more on this fulfillment, this sense of you are one with God, you are in God, and so you can be at peace, and then the universe takes note, and it brings experiences where you experience that peace. So some things you can try. When you're meditating, first thing you do is remember a time when you felt completely and totally fulfilled. You didn't need to accomplish anything, you didn't need to do anything, no one was asking anything of you, everything was just fine. Remember that feeling. And then when you meditate, you affirm, I am in God, all things are taken care of. But you have to really feel it and adopt that state. And you keep holding it, you keep bringing it up throughout the entire meditation until it becomes natural to you. And then the distractions go away, and you can go very deep into your practice very quickly. So that's the first thing you can do. The second thing you can do is when you're going to sleep at night. That's usually the time when our thoughts are usually churning and we've got all these ideas going on. When you're going to sleep at night, do the same thing. Remember that feeling of fulfillment, that all is well, that you are provided for, that you are taken care of, that you are in God. Distractions arise, it's okay. You bring your awareness back to the sense of fulfillment, you are fulfilled in God, and you let yourself fall asleep. Do this with meditation, do this with sleep. Eventually you'll start waking up, or you'll start finishing your meditation, and you'll have such a sense of peace, you'll wonder, where did that come from? It's all because you are identifying with God and this divine fulfillment rather than the problems. And then you start living in that way. So we all know that God is here right now, right? We all know that? Okay. So if God were here right now, wouldn't you feel pretty good? I mean, who else would you rather have around? So as you live your life, when things threaten to shake your mental poise or your emotional stability, you need to remember that God is here right now, because you don't need anyone else around. And so if you know that God is here right now, you have nothing to worry about, nothing to fear. Anything that arises can be taken care of. Now we have to remember that we need to have a little fun in life too. And so I've mentioned it before, the books that we read, the stories that we like, the movies that we watch, all of them have a sense of adventure to it. There's a villain. There's someone to overcome, something to do, something to accomplish. So what we can do is, once we start to have this sense of being fulfilled, what might come up is, well, this is kind of boring. Nothing's really going wrong. And what happens then is now you don't have all these negative things coming into your life to distract you from God, so you are free. So now you can choose to live freely, which means you can think to yourself, well, what do I want to accomplish in this world? Do I want to start a business? Do I want to write a book? Do I want to make a lot of money? Do I want to be a good musician? Whatever it might be, what do you want to accomplish? And then your challenge, and then the thing that you need to achieve isn't overcoming a problem. It's actually contributing to the world. It's being of service to the world. It's creating something for the world. Okay. So remember that. I'm not a big fan of Facebook, but I use it. And I saw a post by one of our friends back in West Virginia recently. She's got 3 kids. Two of them are twins together, and the other is older. And I forget which one it was, but supposedly this mother asked the daughter to do something for the mother. And the daughter came back, I think she's 4 or 5, said, well, why do I want to do that? And the mother wrote in her little post, so what I said was, well, let's see. You've got a roof over your head. I do your laundry. You get free meals, no rent, internet, video games, all these things went on and on. That's why. Okay. And when I heard that post, I thought to myself, well, that's kind of funny. Because I think, and I feel, and I think I've been experiencing more lately, that God asks us to do things. And we say things like, but why? And if you think about it, we are able to experience life. We can see the sun, the flowers, the trees. We can hear music. We can have friendships. We can pretty much do a lot of things in this world. And so why not listen, turn within, and ask, well, what can I do? What can I give back? How can I be of service? How can this divine consciousness flow through me? And building on what we've been talking about, for you to do that in a very effective way, you have to be in a state where you are fulfilled and you are in a state of trust. Because then you are not just trying to make things happen. You're not just a little person trying to put a puzzle together that just doesn't seem to make sense. You feel calm, you feel supported, you feel uplifted, and now you have a higher purpose. And when you have a higher purpose, you have a reason to get up in the morning. And when you have a reason to get up in the morning, you enjoy life. And when you enjoy life, you're happier. And the happier you are, the easier it is for you to turn within and experience this divine fulfillment at all times. So keep that in mind. Start thinking about, rather than what can God give me, think about what can I do in this world to let this consciousness flow through and to support this world. Okay. Now, I want to share some quotes. And we used them in the contemplation session this morning. But I chose them because they were all within the theme of giving your awareness to God and being able to do that. And so the first one comes from the Yoga Sutras. It's chapter 1, verses 23 and 24. It reads that samadhi is quickly realized by devotional surrender to God. And God is not influenced or restricted by karma. So your karma are all the reasons you think you can't do things, right? That's what your karma is. Why you can't accomplish things, why you can't experience things. So if you give your awareness to God, you give your identification to God, you don't have to worry about it, because then you are not influenced nor restricted by this karma. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, verses 9 through 10, the word me here refers to supreme consciousness or divine consciousness. It says, those who think of me, who are surrendered in me, enlightening each other and speaking of me, are soul satisfied. Those who are constantly steadfast and who worship me with love, I bestow the yoga of discrimination by which they come to me. And this next one is from the Bible, Matthew 22, it's 37 and 39. It's love God with all of your heart and love everyone as your very self. And I chose that one because recently when we were in England and Richard was giving the seminar on Kriya Yoga, he played the video of the last Kriya Congress where Mr. Davis described how Yogananda had said to him, love God with all of your heart and be so intoxicated with that love that you know nothing else. Right? So again, if you are loving God with all of your heart, meaning that you know God is here right now, it's within you, it's within the people here, it's within the air, the cars, everything. If you love that with all of your heart, and you become so intoxicated with that that you know nothing else, well, you don't need to experience anything else. Then you are in the flow. Then you are living appropriately. Then you are surrendered in God, and life flows through you. The divine consciousness flows through you. And then what else is there? Just go deeper. That's it. Okay. Well, on that note, let's practice some meditation. But before we do that, we're going to have some chanting to lead us into it. Okay, I'm just going to pick a chant and show the way.
Jai